the end of the fiance visa process, the alien beneficiary will be required to attend an interview where he or she will be asked a series of interview questions by a consular officer at the U.S. Embassy. Usually, the embassy is in the country of origin, but maybe in a nearby country if the embassy in their country doesn't process K visas. The interview takes place in a private room and rarely lasts more than 10 minutes. The U.S. petitioner is generally not required to attend the interview, although in many countries are free to do so. We have seen increasing RFAs for consulates that are skeptical about the relationship. Authenticity required a sponsor to attend an interview. Rapid visa has no control on whether or not this happens. If it happens, expect to travel to attend an interview. Then check on your country's U.S. Embassy for these details. The officer uses strict interview procedures, which could help you to be ready for what to expect. Then, reading some of the questions below will also help you have a more successful fiancé visa interview. And children included on a K2 visa must also attend the interview. Here are 70 fiancé visa interview questions. Okay, so here are 70 sample U.S. fiancé visa interview questions, which are examples of all the kinds of questions you may be asked during the interview. Usually, the alien beneficiary would expect to answer between 5 or 10 questions.
So these are the following 70 questions. What is your fiance's name? What are your fiance's hobbies and interests? What makes, model, color is your fiance's car? What are your hobbies and your interests? What does your fiancé do for a living? What is your fiance's salary? What do you do for a living? Was your fiancé married previously? Tell me about your fiancé's children. What are your fiancé's parents' name? Well, there'll be a problem with the other children from this other relationship. Did you know that your fiancé was divorced? Where do you plan to live in the United States? When and how did you meet your fiancé? How long have you been corresponding with your fiancé? Do you have any wedding plans? How long has your fiancé lived at your current address? What is your fiancé's religious background? What is your religious background? Does your fiancé speak and understand your language? Do you speak and understand your fiancé's language? How much did your fiancé spend on their last trip to see you? Has your fiancé ever been convicted of a crime? How do you communicate with your fiancé? Why do you want to come to the United States? Where and how did you meet your fiancé? What is your fiancé's full name? How do you spell your fiancé's last name? How long has your fiancé been in the USA? Are you a terrorist? What are your other names? Tell me about your wedding. Did you have an engagement party and who was there? Do you have honeymoon plans? How many days a week does your fiancé work? Have you ever been to America? What is your fiancé's spouse's name? When do you plan to entering the USA? Does your fiancé have any siblings? What are their names? What can you tell me about the state your fiancé lives in? When do you plan on leaving after entering the US? Do you and your fiancé have plans to have children in the future? Have you met your fiancé's parents? Have you ever been denied a visa to any country? What is your fiancé's phone number and email address? How often and how do you communicate with your fiance? How old is your fiance? How many times have you been married? How old are your fiance's children? What kinds of things do you enjoy doing together? What was the last gift your fiance got you? How does your family feel about the engagement? How does your fiance's family feel about the engagement? What are your favorite treats about your fiance? Why did you decide to marry in the USA rather than in your country? Who proposed, you or your fiance? Describe the proposal. What do you and your fiance have in common? What is your fiance's favorite movie, musical artist, and food? How many times have you met in person? How much time have you spent together in person? How do you picture your life in 5 years? Does your fiance have any pets, and what are their names? Do you know any of your fiance's friends? How many people do you expect at the wedding? Where and when was your fiance born? How long did you date before getting engaged? Do you have any relatives in the USA? Did your fiance go to college and where? What color are your fiance's eyes? So that are the 70 example questions. Do subscribe